Concerns over deepfake sex crimes have led to pledges of tougher penalties to punish and prevent such offenses. Now, what's the road ahead? To delve into this topic, we have our political correspondent Shin Ha-young here in the studio. Hi, Ha-young.
Good evening, Jungmin.
Evening, and deepfake sex crimes are such a big issue worldwide, and it's pretty much the same here in Korea.
You're right, Jungmin. In fact, over half of the global victims of deepfake sex crimes between July and August last year were Korean. And with foreign media also paying attention to South Korea's response, various measures are being introduced. And recently, I had the chance to talk about the measures with a representative from a victim advocacy center and an expert on these crimes. Let's first take a look. Most suspects in deepfake sex crimes in South Korea are classmates of the victims. Young victims often continue to face their perpetrators even after reporting the crimes due to limited punitive measures. This is according to an official from the state-run advocacy center for online sexual abuse victims, highlighting that most of those seeking support are teenagers. Data from the Korean National Police Agency shows nearly 60% of victims reported between 2021 and last year were in their teens. Amid the rise in these crimes, victims commonly pointed out the lack of adequate punishments for offenders.
We surveyed 100 victims, and their biggest challenge was getting the content completely removed. Another issue was the lack of punishment for offenders. Victims feel that proper education and punishment are needed to help eliminate these crimes.
In response, the cabinet last week gave the green light to a bundle of amendments passed by the National Assembly that will impose tougher punishment for deepfake pornography. Under the revised measures, those who own or watch such content will face up to 3 years in prison or a fine of 30 million Korean won or around $22,000, while creators and distributors will also face harsher penalties than they do now. Police will be allowed to start emergency identity non-disclosure investigations into sex offenses against minors without prior approval. To better support victims, a legal basis will be established to expand and operate the advocacy center nationwide. An expert said other measures are also needed to ensure the strengthened penalties are effective.
To ensure punishment, we need to improve the efficiency of arrests and provide legal support that addresses the anonymity of deepfake sex crimes. This includes expanding the range of undercover investigations and supporting the officers involved. A coordinated government approach is needed, including preventive education.
The official from the Advocacy Center welcomed the move but also called for expanding undercover investigations to include adult victims.
Victims often only find out about the crime long after it occurs, leaving them frustrated as they can't track where the content is being shared. The victims include not only minors, but also adults, which is why undercover investigations should be expanded to include adult victims as well.
Meanwhile, South Korea unveiled a national cybersecurity basic plan last month, which outlines offensive cyber defense operations and strategies to tackle disinformation, including deepfakes.
Ha-young, we can't talk about this issue without addressing teenage offenders. How should the country tackle this issue?
Well, some experts say that reconsidering the age threshold for juvenile criminal responsibility is crucial, while others believe that education should come first. And this is a contentious issue because over 80% of suspects are teens, with about 2 in 10 below the legal age for prosecution. And the experts suggested that reforming the juvenile justice system should take priority over punishment or education. Take a listen.
Juvenile justice system needs comprehensive reform ahead of any punishment or education. With improved infrastructure, we can effectively punish or educate the youth offenders of deepfake crimes.
And would you elaborate on the support that victims can receive through the Victim Advocacy Center that you mentioned in your report?
Of course, Jungmin, the Advocacy Center for Online Sexual Abuse Victims supports both South Korean citizens and foreign residents by assisting with deepfake content removal and offering counseling. And it's best to contact the center by phone, but victims can also use the online bulletin board. And before I wrap up my coverage tonight, one last thing I'd like to share from the center is the issue of secondary victimization. The official said that when victims are blamed, they may hesitate to report their experiences leading to unreported crimes and allowing perpetrators to commit more crimes. So it is important to improve awareness of this issue.
All right. Hayoung, thanks for your report today.
My pleasure.